Righto, next project for us, doggy. Series 3 GU Patrol, reasonably tidy and straight, not, you know, 100% perfect, but a bit of a basic, never been buggered with car. DI in it that still runs. So we're going to fix that. We're going to chuck it in the shed and chuck up Barra NA plus T with a ZF6 box. I've already bought the adapter. So the car cost 4K and the engine cost 2,200 and the adapter kit was let's say 2 grand. We've sold the ZD adder for 1,500 bucks. That 4 grand minus 1,500 is 2.5 for the car and 2,200. Actually, it was 2 grand for the engine gearbox. So it's what's that? So that's 4.5 plus the adapter kit. I'm up to about 6. I'd say I'm up to just over 6, but I've got a few more bits to buy. So I'd love to be able to do it for under 8. That would be pretty cool. But anyway, it should be a nice car. Best car ever built. GU Patrol. Most versatile, all-rounder, strong as, and with the Barra. And the 4:3 ratio should do nice with the Barra Auto. The Barra Auto has really good low ratio, so that'll be, all the gearing should be all nice. While we've got the gearbox apart, or the transfer apart, we thought about putting reduction gears in, but we're not going to because, anyway, getting too far into it. Let's just leave that for later. Righto, let's go, dog. So in the engine bay, obviously the clutch master's gone. I've removed the steering reservoir from there. It has to move back to there. That big plate there goes. There's a big plate there that just hold a pile of junk you don't need. There was a big tank here, which I think was something to do with PCV. Can't be sure. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't need it with the Barra. So that goes. So yeah, that's the bracket that was over there. I might have to use that to mount other stuff on, but at the moment I don't need it. This whole reservoir doesn't suit, so you get one out of a TB45 to bolt straight back up where it came from. That will reuse. The fuel primer pump goes, and the bracket for it, which just sits there. You don't need any of that anymore, so that whole bracket there goes as well, which is really handy. And I've kept all the rest. I've kept all this stuff in case there's any bits I've missed or I need. Those hoses we have to cut off. This air conditioning, we'll get to that later, but the air conditioning you actually cut off, spin the whole thing upside down, looks a bit better, and you get the FG air conditioning pipes welded to that. So you literally just weld into those original ones so that you can, that side of it stays, and you know, as you would with a swap, as you'd imagine, you're swapping it over to the FG gear. I haven't ordered a relocation kit and that for the motor yet. I'll get to the motor next. But anyway, this is just stripping the engine bay out. I'm going to tidy this all up. A lot of these wires you don't use. A couple of them you have to lengthen. But as we get to them, we'll talk about them. So basically, if I'm going to go to an XR8 radiator, I'll just mount a bit of box along the bottom here. And then put new holes in the box for the radiator to sit in. And the radiator will just bolt up here and try and reuse some brackets or whatever. See what I can do. I've reused the original, I'm leaving the snorkel and everything, because you just get, I don't know, filters off the shelf, everything's just too easy. Now what I've done, I've cut all this, the mess where it had the, it's all in bits on the floor. Used to have a big flange there for the MAF sensor to bolt onto. That's all gone, so I'm just going to clean this up so it's nice. I could cut it back there, but I just like a bit extra length there, so I'm going to just sort of clean all this up, and then hopefully we get a real good seal around there when I make it look pretty. This one didn't have a vac canister. Some GUs have vacuum brake canisters and some don't, so this will be straight off the vacuum, which is pretty cool. The vacuum line for the clutch is gone, so I've just got the brake one coming back, which I'll remount and make it look pretty later. Got to drill a hole in here while the engine bay's empty. I'll drill a hole in there for the transmission cable to come out. You can use a manual cross member for the gearbox if you're using the soft mounts, but you then need an auto, a ZD30 auto set of tail shafts just to make it all fit properly. Anyway, at this stage we're going okay. Right, now the fun part. This was a prick of a job. You have to remove clutch pedal, which is easy. It's just those 4 bolts, and if you pull one pin out from the back of the arm here, the clutch slaves, master cylinder, and just pop straight out. So the bolts you're undoing on the inside is those four, and then pulling that pin out. That's easy. The pin was just a little R-clip, held in with an R-clip, and it's a pin, it's a clevis pin type thing. That sounds easy, but if you don't remove that pedal stopper bolt, oh, it's nearly impossible to get out. I've just been cramped up underneath it for the last hour trying to get it out. Anyway, I hope you have better luck than I did. Then there's that. It's got 3 bolts. The ECU goes up underneath there. It's got 3 bolts hold it in. You take the big plug out, and then the 3 bolts. Do this before your clutch pedal, actually. Would be easier. One of them's a prick to get to, but either way, they're all got captive nuts, so typical Nissan fashion. You can actually get a socket on all of them, which is pretty cool. That big wiring loom from your ECU goes back up under the dash here, connects into the dash via these ones. So you take out those 2 screws and a whole lot drops down. Now, you notice I've cut that inside the engine bay because we don't need any of that anymore. So I cut that just where it went through into the engine bay, which is where that empty sock is there, just there, and that's where the muscle and the come out for the clutch, obviously. So I've cut it just there. Now what we do though, we keep this because a couple of these wires we have to strip back, plug back in to the respective plugs from the dash, just to pick up, I think it's like, might be a key starter signal, an ignition on signal, just a few things like that. So we'll keep that. We won't need all those wires, but for now we will keep that loom. Bits to keep. So that all sounds real quick, but that's just taken me a couple of hours. That's been a bugger of a job. Time to fit the adapter for the ZF6 to Nissan transfer. Now we cut it down right through there, I think. We take that off first. Up the seal. So it's just got a little lip there. So I push that seal in another millimetre or so. That's it. Nice little spacer. Yeah, it's spacer so you get it exactly right. And now I think we cut this off right there. Right at the back of the spline.
Where's the Welsh plug go?
Click.
Didn't that one already have one in it? Or did you knock it out?
No, that wasn't it. It was in the bag still. Beautiful.
Flush.
He's grease told this little sucker in. Is it broken in half, mate?
Yeah. That's right. We'll send it anyway.
That should just hold it to turn it sideways. Go around 90 degrees. There we go. Righto, see if it slides in. You just wipe it all over your ass, that grease. Perfect.
How do you tell if that bearing stayed in or not?
Pull it back out and have a look. It would have. See if it falls off now. Still there, mate.
It's just hard to like mesh those gears in this spot.
Why don't you put the first bit? It can't really fall anywhere, I don't think. There you go, perfect. Righto, and now new grey gasket. Did it have grey goop on it before?
Well, it wasn't on the mating, so it was just around the outside. So because it's like a perfect mating surface.
Yeah, it just needs a smear. We'll just put a smear over it. I've got a paintbrush here. 8.5. Got to tap these holes out. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it is. Yeah, got to drill and tap these holes out in the back of the transmission. 8.5mm drill, 10 by 1.5 tap. Got a little hole set here because it's alloy and they're blind holes. Need the preferably all 3 taps.
I think I put the new fuel pump in it because it was fuel cutting when I was like hitting boost before it actually gave fuel cutting. So I put a new fuel pump in and it was leaking fuel out of that, but I wouldn't.
Beautiful.
Beef and chicken. That's an Aussie burger range worth flying.
Oh, show us the
I got my
hat.
hat.
Oh.
Let's take this off because this has to go on the engine stand to do a few mods. Easy. Little old push on, squeeze together, pulley offy, clippy things.
Push, pull, chuck.
Four flex bait bolts. Righto. That's going to come off. That's going to come off. We're doing valve springs, so that's going to come off. That, then that. To get that off, we need that off and that off. Barra's on the stand. We've got to get rid of that. Remove the inlet manifold, which is a bit of a bugger on this. You've got to unplug everything, lift it back off. This is with the NA one that looks like that. Then it's a bit of a bugger to get to everything, all the bolts and everything, just a mongrel to get to. So it's nearly worth, because I'm going turbo, rather than using that inlet manifold, which you can adapt to a turbo. I think we're just going to get a nice new one because they're neater, even though they're $700. But anyway, going to put that on. Before we do all that, and we've got the exhaust manifold off because I've got to change it for a turbo manifold, obviously, I've got to drill that out, tap a couple of holes, and there's a fitting that goes on there just for the drain. Take the water pump off just to make it a bit easy to move around here. The water pump's in pretty good nick. Because it's a OEM water pump, I'm going to put it back on. It's only got 100,000 Ks on it. Rain again. So, I'm doing valve springs. I've got some valve springs here. Crow Cam's valve springs to put in it because the original NA ones just get a bit soft with age, so you get a bit of valve float. We're going to replace them while it's apart. It's a bugger of a job to do when the engine's in the car. The reason being, you've obviously got to take the tapper cover off. You got to take the cams out, so you got to take the timing cover off. We'll go through this anyway. And then to get, apparently you got to drop the sump off. I don't know if you have to actually. Apparently it comes off easier, something to do with dowels or something. It comes off easier. Oh, and there's a half moon thing in here with a shoulder that this sits in, so you've got to pull that off as well. And then yeah, these are all the cradle bolts. Yeah, right, yeah. And the sump will drop off. So remember that when you're putting it on the stand, you've got to use that hole, not that hole. If you use that hole, that's part of the sump. Anyway, I'll probably do that because then I can drill that. You can drill that while it's in there by just covering the drill in grease and collecting all the crap, because any crap ends up in the bottom and then gets sucked up, goes through the filter anyway, so not too bothered. But anyway, we'll take it off because we can. I'm an electrician, remember, not a mechanic, so I'm just going to take it carefully and slowly and see how we go. Those ones. Sometimes these are sticky, so leave a couple of bolts in, because if this is not bolted down, they can be a pain in the ass to get out, but they just wiggle out.